Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Sky U Pod. Joining me today is Max. Max, how you doing?
Doing good. Excited to talk some Gopher football. Spring football
Yeah.
is, I know it's different without the spring game, but there's news
Mhm.
and stuff's going on, so it's nice to feel like it's back, even though it's really
Well,
not.
PJ started that trend, no
That's
spring
right.
game, as we've talked about on this show, which I won't get into it. I'm still not a fan. I know it's not a big deal. It's just one less thing for the fans in this NIL era, but it is what it is. Um, yes, we are your college football Huddle podcast for the Golden Gophers. So feel free to check them out at thecollegehuddle.com. Great content over there. Big Ten emphasis there. So thank you for being here, everybody. Max, we got some news to start off with. Speaking of NIL, this isn't particularly Gopher related, but I feel like we just had to start it off with this. Tennessee's quarterback, Nico, out of what is his last name? I'm a leaving or something like that, basically, now with how he's hitting the portal. Just a crazy situation. And I wanted to bring this up for those of you that don't know. Tennessee's starting quarterback has hit the transfer portal. The reports are saying he was already getting paid 2.1 million like this season. He was going to get paid 2 million this season. Thought he was worth more, so he hits the portal. And per SEC rules, once you hit the portal in the spring window, you cannot go to another SEC school. So he's really cut a lot of his big spenders in half just with that decision. Probably agents, parents getting involved here, I'm sure, telling him to move on. But basically, it was holding Tennessee hostage, and Tennessee decides to tell him get lost. We're standing firm with our offer, and he hits the portal. I put out a tweet, very happy to see Tennessee stand strong and not take the bait, not let a player push them around. But you know, I know he's a big time player, and maybe no one of that caliber is quite on the Gophers that could demand that kind of money. But I do think it does show a little bit of PJ Flex culture that he's put in here that we don't have kids at this program doing that. I'm not saying no one's ever going to leave for a bigger bag or be wanting more money or to get what's theirs, but just what are your thoughts on that situation and maybe how PJ's culture is different than that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a couple things that stand out. One, I can't remember where I read this or heard this, but allegedly he'd already started maybe sniffing around, like even around the playoff time. Like the season wasn't even over yet last year, and he was already
Oh, geez.
starting to like see what the market like might be like, and that's where he came back to Tennessee and wanted the $4 million deal. So if that's true, I mean that's pretty brutal. And I don't know how you then can like go to another school and they can just assume you're going to be totally cool and like not do the same thing there or
Right.
like not be a huge problem in the locker room. Like, I don't know. You're really showing your cards. And the second thing, like you mentioned, I believe he is represented by his dad, which I mean, he has no reason to act in good faith. It's
Oof.
not like he's going to have any other clients heading to Tennessee, so he doesn't really have to worry about burning them. I mean, he's not setting up his son for the best situation, but
No.
it's it's yeah. I mean, that's it was bound to happen, I guess, at some point with where we're at and kind of the wild west of NIL and transferring. But it's
Yeah.
tough when it's the kid's own dad is trying to represent him, and it's like I just you don't want the kid to get bad advice at the end of the day either.
I just don't understand where you're in a world where you're making $2 million in college football and you're still like, but is there more out there? Like, I mean,
And you didn't
$2 million.
and you didn't probably deserve that last year, if we're being honest.
No,
He's
look
a
at his
very
stats.
yeah, he performed great against no one.
Yeah,
Any big game, he didn't do well at all. Tennessee's defense carried them most of the year
36th,
anyways. Like
36th in the country in QBR, 42nd in passing touchdowns, 43rd in completion percentage, 76th in passing yards per game. For $2 million, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd just take that and keep going. You're at a big time
right.
school. You're going to get to play in big time games. I'm happy is that schools are standing up and saying no. I know it's very uh, pro player mood out there right now, where like players got to get theirs, players got to get theirs, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. Obviously, they deserve to make money off their name and image and likeness. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen. But if a player is going to try and hold a college ransom, basically, like, and put themselves above the team, I am kind of happy, and I'm not going to lie, to see teams basically shutting them down at this point. That's just
Right.
how I feel about it. I'm not anti players getting paid, but I mean, enough is enough. It sounds like UNC's backed out, Tulane's backed out, which those were the two biggest teams supposedly interested in him. So I don't know where he's going to go, but it's looking like he's not going to be getting 2 mil. So there's that.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward when he has to go back to Tennessee and ask for
Oof,
$1 million.
oof. I don't
Yeah,
think he'll do it.
it's rough. I mean, I don't even, and the thing too, like let's say he goes to Notre Dame and gets that $4 million deal, like now he's got to learn whole new offense, figure out like
Yeah,
he's got to win the job. Like I don't know who else that Notre, like wherever he goes. So it's like
like you
it
said
might
though.
work out in the short run, but long run, like is he really setting himself up for a future if he wants to go pro? Like he's just
Right.
resetting his own timeline right now.
And if that's going to be an ongoing thing, like you said, like is another coach going to want that in the locker room? Is Freeman going to want that in the locker room?
Right.
I don't think so, but you never know. So anyway, back to more some Gopher focus related news. Just a few notes here to touch on since we've last gone on. The Gophers have picked up a few commits here the past few weeks. We'll start with the 2026 class. We got Hayden Moore and Kai Menz. Both receivers, Hayden Moore from Florida, Kai Menz from Utah, both 3-star guys. Kai had offers from Utah, Arkansas, Boise State. Hayden had offers from Iowa, Vandy, and Boston College. This brings the number of commits in the 2026 class to 8 total now. Still a lot of time. Nothing in this era is set in stone, but max 2 receiver commits here for the 2026 class. Any quick thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen a little bit, they're both athletic, and they kind of have slightly different styles. So it's kind of nice you don't get two of the same guy. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to get guys signing early, especially at the same position. Just stockpile them at
Yeah,
this point. So
I would take as many flyers on receivers as we can just until we hit more
right,
frequently on those guys. So to get 2 committed already for that class makes you feel pretty good. Um, the Hayden Moore kid out of Florida excites me. Just seeing his offer list, athletic body. He's 6'1", listed at 190. So a put together kid for still having a senior year of high school to go to. One of his comparisons was where if he pans out, I saw was, I'm not saying he's going to be this guy because this guy was a very good college receiver, Laquan Treadwell. So that's like his, if everything goes right and he hits, which I
right.
know Vikings fans don't let that scare you. Laquan Treadwell was obviously a very good college receiver. So that would be an amazing upside. But so great news there. Maybe the bigger news, though, they also got their first commit for the class of 2027. The number 1 player in the state of Minnesota in Wayzata D lineman, Eli Diane. I might be pronouncing that last name wrong. Apologize, Diane. Eli chose the Gophers over Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas State, among others. So, huge get to keep the number 1 kid home in state once again. Again, early. So a lot of that stuff can change. But how many years in a row now do we have the number 1 kid in the class? I think the last one to leave, but now he's back, was Jackson Howard. So PJ doing another excellent job of getting those kids to stay home. Again, a lot of time to the actual finish lines crossed. But Max, thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, it's nice that he's going to commit early. Hopefully he sticks around and nothing changes. But yeah, I mean, seeing the schools he picked over us, those are all very strong teams that historically have
Yeah,
had very solid defensive lines. So that's great. He's going to
right.
pick us over them. Kind of interesting too. That it seems like the last few years, it's probably the third year in a row that the top player in state is a defensive lineman. So I don't know what that means, but I'll take it. If our
Means we're
top talent
coming.
is on the D line, like that's
Yeah,
huge for us. So
yeah. And I think that obviously the earlier the better though, if they stay, but just because they can then start the recruiting of the friends and the
right,
buddies they make at
yeah,
all these camps, because he's the type of kid that is going to all those types of camps too. So not just the in-state guys, but he'll have some reach nationally. You hope. So yeah, great start there to the 2027 class. And I put this in the news section because our last episode we talked a lot about the QB battle. That looks all but over here, Max. Drake Lindsay has reportedly, there's been some open practices. Today there was one. at 4:30, which is not really an inconvenient time for us on this show. Unfortunately, we have real life jobs that don't allow us to do this full time. But anyway, Drake Lindsay has taken roughly 85% of the first team reps, according to the people that have been there. And PJ also had this to say. He's complimented by saying he's playing at a high level, probably higher than any young player that I've coached at that position. Max, it's looking like it's 99.99% chance that Drake Lindsay's your starting quarterback this season. We were already kind of expecting that, but any news there or any surprise there with this kind of being out in the open so soon? I mean, PJ hasn't said it, but it sounds like that's basically what's happening here.
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, if anything, it's just a relief to know that he is going to be the guy, or at least going to start off as being the guy. Just that he's, was in the system last year and he's not going to
Yeah.
lose the job to the incoming transfer. Or needs more time to develop. Not like he wasn't ever going to pan out, but it's nice to see that he's, they think he's ready early. I think the only my takeaway from PJ's comment is just thinking of like how many young quarterbacks has PJ coached that really panned out. I mean, Tanner Morgan,
Yeah, that's fair.
but
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's
Zach
it's
Anixter had some upside. He was
he
excited about
did
Zach.
he did.
So,
Yeah, it's not
but
a knock on Drake. It's not like it's taken away
yeah,
from him. It's just it's a perfect PJ comment. If it's like, yeah, he's saying
yes.
nothing. Like,
Yeah. No, I know you're completely right. Like my dad jokingly texted me like, "Oh crap, does this mean he's going to be no good this year?" Just because we've had some players hyped up before by coaches.
right.
You know, the one we kind of bring up as examples when Rossi was hyping up Mari Sorimar for being an all-conference player in his first year as a starter, and that particular season didn't go so well. But he ended up being a solid player. So, no, good things all around. I was a little surprised. And I probably shouldn't have been, but Zach Pyron, the transfer from Georgia Tech, who it's funny, I saw one of the bigger, not huge, but like one of the, college football fan accounts that's got a decent national following. They put out like they ranked every Big Ten starting quarterback. And at the bottom, they put Zach Pyron at the bottom of the conference, and everyone's like, "Well, that's not even our starter." But no, from all reports, he's not even the second team guy at this point. It's been Dylan Whittaker who's had more time here than him, so maybe I shouldn't have been too
Right.
surprised. But any thoughts to Pyron being more of the third team, not a ton of reps guy at this point?
I mean, if it's really just to get him acclimated into the system, like you said, I mean, Wiki's been here for a year, already in a backup role. So if it's really just to not slow down everybody else, I guess I kind of
Yeah,
get it. Just work his way up. But I'd be surprised. I mean, maybe that's a good thing that maybe Dylan Wiki's really just improved. I have no idea. But
right.
I would assume come the start of the season, Pyron will be the number two guy.
Yeah. Well, I'd be shocked if Pyron isn't used in pretty much every game just for his legs and what
Right.
we've heard out
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
not like something to really be worried about. I don't think as far as that goes. And sounds like Drake Lindsay's taking the job, which is what we were all hoping for. So that's good to hear. All right. Moving on now to our first big topic. And just a reminder, folks, if you want to comment in on your thoughts as well, we'll be happy to read those and take them into consideration. It's always fun to get some interaction. We appreciate you being here. All right. First big topic here. Um, First news, it sounds like Greg Johnson is back to left guard. Ryan Burns, Andy Greeter, they've all reported now that Ashton Beers has been taking all the first team reps at center. Greg Johnson is back to left guard where he was getting playing time as a true freshman. So, Max, he spent all last year, Greg Johnson, that is, as your starting center. Sounds like that experiment is over. Thoughts on the move? Are you disappointed that it's another new starting center this year for the squad? Happy that it's not Greg Johnson back there. Just gut feel on this news.
Yeah, I think overall it's a net positive because we know Greg Johnson's probably more comfortable at left guard. I mean, if you compare his true freshman season to his season last year at center, when he did play at guard, even though he showed his some inexperience and some, I mean, he's a true freshman, like he just didn't have quite the size yet. He still looked overall better at the guard position. So you get a positive in that you get one of your supposedly more talented offensive linemen at the position he's more comfortable at. And then, yeah, Beers is new at center, but maybe can't really be much worse than Johnson was
He's
last
been
year.
the
So
backup center longer than Greg
right,
was playing center, so he should
yeah,
have some upside there. And it,
yeah,
with the amount of reps he's gotten with the second team, he's probably more comfortable with it overall. You could maybe argue there. So,
sure. And if
um,
Johnson's more comfortable at guard next to him to maybe bail him out, I mean, I feel like overall it all kind of rises a little bit their level of play in a way where it's like maybe Beers is just as good at center as Johnson was, but Johnson being better at guard can bail him out extra or whatever the
sure,
case may be. I feel like overall it can't be much worse than last season. I guess I'll put it that way.
yeah. And just one thing, I pretty much completely agree with everything you said. Going back to Greg's freshman year, like Gopher fans were really excited about what he was going to do in his second year. Like, so I think we shouldn't be uh, really scared off by maybe a slightly down year for him at center. In fact, I'm excited for him to be back at guard. I think him going back to guard and just with all the new faces, I think there's a really good chance that he's maybe your best offensive lineman again already next year, just by going back to what he's more comfortable to. He was a highly recruited kid coming in. They like his length and his strength. So, I mean, there was kids in high school. I remember like coaches would try even at center. I know this is college different, but you know, coaches would try kids at center in high school, and it just like they just thought about it too much, and then they got moved to other spots, and they just excelled because they just got to go and basically destroy kids that were in front of them. So I'm guessing that's kind of going to be the same feel with Greg. They're really high on him. They think his ceiling's really high. So moving him back to left guard, uh, I'm happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it overall. So I think it'll be work out. Um, let's move on here to just kind of projecting out now the starting five for your offensive line. It sounds like as of now, you have Ashton Beers center, Greg Johnson left guard, left tackle. I think we're all kind of thinking it'll be the Washington transfer, but I believe he's been out so far for spring practice. So it's been Nathan Roy taking reps at left tackle. Um, what's it? Khalil Tafaya. He's the guy from Washington. So it sounds like they're going to be the battle for left tackle. Right guard, you currently have Dylan Ray, the transfer from Kentucky. He's played some center and guard in the SEC, so he's got a lot of experience. He'll be battling for that spot with Tony Nelson. And then right tackle, you have the Marcellus Marshall, the transfer from Central Florida, who's played basically everywhere on the line. How do you see those spots shaking out, Max? And what do you think will fit best for this squad?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like you said, with Defy being out in the spring, if Nathan Roy can really show. I mean, kind of like Greg Johnson did, and just burst onto the scene as a young player and kind of make it so that they can't take you out of the starting lineup, I guess. Like if he can play that well, and if he has any opportunity to move to the other side too, I have no idea, but um,
Yeah.
will be interesting to see if one of those younger guys can step in and maybe earn a spot on the starting lineup ahead of all these transfers. I guess overall, when I look at it, I think the thing that comes to mind, not related to like any one of the individual players, but I can't think of another time we've had this many transfers on the offensive line, like coming
I don't
in. The
know.
only ones I could think of were like when Quinn Carroll and Chuck, was it Fialaga or the kid from Michigan?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's the only time I could think we had two transfers come in. Now we've got three and a kid switching position. Well, I guess two guys switching positions. Like overall, it feels like the offensive line is a huge wild card coming into the season, just with a lot
Yeah.
of new faces and new positions, and but a lot of young guys too backing them up. So it's like we have the depth there in a way. So
Well, and the Washington kid has 3 years of eligibility, so I think
right,
it's a lot of new faces, but I think the upside's a lot higher than last year's, which I know sounds very optimistic, but we saw how last year's line played out, and I mean, we're talking about Nathan Roy potentially starting. He is, just a reminder, he is one of the highest rated commits ever of all time for the Gopher. I think he's number 3 or number 4, like he's top 5. And so having that on your O line, so how I would think it's gonna, I think how it's practicing now is how we will see it early on in the season. But PJ is not afraid to mix those guys in for a couple series here and there. So here's how I think it's going to shake out. I think, and this is optimistic, I think your kid from Washington and Nathan Roy, are going to end up being your best two tackles. I don't know which one they slide over to right tackle, but I think eventually down the stretch, those two are your starting tackles. Greg Johnson's your best guard. He's your left guard. Ashton Beer center. Then, Marcellus Marshall, he's played literally, I think, every spot except left tackle for Central Florida over the years there. So I think he bumps inside. That gives you a big, beefy, but kind of athletic offensive line. So I think that's the final match that we end up with here, with Tony Nelson and Dylan Ray being very, very solid depth guys, the first ones to come in if anything's needed. So um, that's how maybe I'm optimistically hoping it pans out, because that gets our highest recruited
Yeah,
recruits out there a little bit sooner. But I'm not going to sit here and complain, because they've been high on Tony Nelson for a long time, and he's coming into, I believe it's his third year now here. So he got a little bit of playing time in the bowl game. So if you're to tell me that he's our starting right guard and passes up, Dylan Ray there at the battle for right guard, I'm all for that. I just hope it's because it's a quality play that we're getting passed up, and not like, oh boy, this isn't clicking like how we thought it would maybe, and how it resulted last year. But
right. Yeah, I think maybe the one glaring concern is just at the center position, like we talked about. I mean, with Beers going back to center, I guess. I mean, his backup's Brett Carroll, who's also a highly recruited kid, but still
yeah,
young. So it's like, if that's your only option, it's a little bit worrisome. But at the same time, like Nathan Roy, maybe Brett Carroll earns himself a shot, or at least capable of playing if need be.
yeah. I could be wrong. I think Dylan Ray played some center. I could be wrong, Kentucky fans, if you're seeing this somehow. I could be dead wrong on that, but I think he has started along the interior line in a few spots here and
Sure.
there. But yeah, no, you're right. It's not easy to just, as we saw with Greg Johnson, it's not easy to just slide over and
Right.
jump into guard
Yeah.
right away. But there's a lot of time. And I also just want to make this note now. We are fully aware that tomorrow is April 16th, where the portal reopens. So we're not blind to that. This squad might not look how it does now. So just want to put out that acknowledger in case you're, thinking we're clueless. We get it. But assuming all these guys stay, I like the way it looks. I really do. I think the offensive line has a chance to be uh, the sneaky strength of the offense, really. But you know, after last year,
Yeah.
I don't want to hype it up too much. So we'll see how it
That's
goes.
the thing. Yeah, the floor is already pretty low, so
Yeah,
we can already go up, right?
that's right. That's right. All right. Next topic here then. Lemecki's been talking to the media a lot. One of the few players getting to talk to people quite a bit during the press conference. He's taken on more of a leadership role, talking about how he's passing on, what D-Jack and other guys before him have done for him, and just really embracing that leadership role. So, Max, time to take a look at this receiver room. Are you seeing more of a breakout year potentially for Lemecki? I know I've been championing him a lot to get more usage, but we brought in a lot of guys. So, what are your starting three, and just what do you expect out of Lemecki this year? I guess we'll start there.
Yeah, I guess for the starting three, I mean, I think Lemecki's definitely should be wide receiver number one. And then next to I mean, I think Logan Loya is probably the obvious slot receiver. The kid transferred in from UCLA, pretty productive, seems pretty reliable. Just your prototypical undersized slot receiver who's pretty quick and
Yeah.
has good hands. So I would assume we're going to use him in that position like they'd use him at UCLA. Um, at three, I mean, it's really between, to me, like, is it going to be Christian Driver, or is it going to be fill in the blank of Javon Tracy, New Hayes, Kendrick Lanier? That's his name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, like, I feel like there's a plethora of guys that could fill in that third role. It kind of all depends on where they want to fit him. Like some guys, it's
I
obvious. Like
know.
Tyler Williams from Georgia, like he's a big body wide receiver that's going to play on the outside. Malachi Coleman, the transfer from Nebraska, probably is going to be a speedster somewhere. Like there's guys that kind of have their roles in a way, whereas like a Christian Driver feels like we kind of used him in a lot of different setups or a lot of different like motions or different packages.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
really much about Javon Tracy coming in from Miami, Ohio, but it seems like we were pretty high on him coming in as a transfer. So it tells
Yeah.
me they really liked what they saw. So I don't know who the third guy is going to be, to be honest. It seems like we have a lot of options, which is good, but we've been having a lot of options like we've talked
Yeah.
about, and we just never see. So
We've
I have no idea.
had
It
this
might be
conversation.
Lemecki and Logan Loya and Darius
Yeah.
Taylor could be the third, most productive receiver again.
So I agree, especially to start the year. I think it's Lemecki, Loyola, and I think it's Javon Tracy. That was a big get. A lot of suitors were after him. They've said nothing about good things since he's been here, so I think he is supposed to be one of their more explosive guys. So I think that's your three, out there first series. Now, there's a like you brought up all of them. There's a lot of names here that they feel really good about. It's just, how much is Lemecki going to play? Because last year he was used primarily as the run blocking receiver, would have his play that's scheduled here and there. I would love for Lemecki. He's been a great gopher, just a great team guy. I would love for Lemecki to go out and have that KJ May type senior year where he's just the guy. He's put in all that work and all of a sudden his usage is being the number one. I'd love to see that. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I think Lemecki has a very similar role as last year, which is fine. That's fine to do. I think the guy that's going to come on, I think, is Kenrick Lanier. He got a lot of playing time in the bowl game. PJ's kind of been hinting at he's more polished now, so I think he's somebody that's going to be basically a semi-starter with Lemecki. I think they play the same spot. And like you said, Danielle Hayes, Nuke Hayes, talk about how explosive he is. Malachi Coleman is just a freak athlete that we don't have out there. He's an outside guy. Christian Driver's a slot guy. I'm really curious how this is all going to shake out here. The portal opens up tomorrow. I don't know how long it's open for. I'm going to be shocked if we hang on to all these guys because none of them are first year guys that we're talking about getting potential playing time, and there's six of them. There's Lanier, Tyler Williams, who is the guy that I'm really hoping surprises us all and gets out there a lot on the outside position. Like you said, former 5-star transferring from Georgia. He's just a bigger bodied receiver, and we don't have a lot of those kinds. So I would love for everyone to have their own carved out role in this offense and get developed here as because a lot of them have multiple years of eligibility. But in this day and age, that's just not likely. So Max, it's kind of painful, but give me one guy who's going to be the go-to stud this year. Who's your sleeper pick for the receiver room? And then if you had to pick one of these guys we're talking about, who's hitting the portal?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my sleeper is probably Malachi Coleman just because of what he could do to take a top off of defense. And like you said, it's not a guy we've had before
Yeah,
or maybe have utilized in the past. So he'd be my
tall,
sleeper. Just
strong, and the fastest guy. Yeah, we don't have a
yeah,
lot of that.
like we've had size and we've had speed. We've never had both, and
Right.
at times we've never utilized either. So
Yeah.
it it feels like a guy that could be out there a lot and do a lot of damage, but maybe not do anything at all. I have no idea, but seems like he has the highest potential outside of those top three guys. Yeah, if I had to guess who might transfer, I think it would be Nuke Hayes, just for like every reason you said. We've got all of these other guys. A lot of them are still young. Lanier played more towards the end of the season last year, and I hope they all stay too. Like
Yeah.
we've been hearing so much about every single one of these guys. No one has a clear weakness that we've seen. I mean, we don't really know, but if I had to guess, because like Tyler Williams already transferred, maybe he just figured it out. Coleman just transferred in. Christian Driver got a lot of playing time. Loya and Tracy just transferred in. Lemecki's the number one. Lanier's getting playing time, but could also go. Lanier's kind of the second option there too. It's like where does New Case fit? Like he's got to beat out more than just one guy. That's the problem. like
Okay, if it's Nuke Hayes, I'm not saying that's a bad pick at all. He very well could. And I just want to, we have no insider information. This is a fan podcast, so we can speculate recklessly. It's part of the fun. But if it's new K's, that's got to be like 3 for 3 of PJ saying this guy's like the most explosive guy with the football in his hands, because I know he has said about New K's. That's got to be like 3 for 3 where they never saw the field and ended up transferring out. Like I feel like that
Yeah.
always happens to guys in this receiver room, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I think that's a very likely pick. Um, sorry, who'd you say? Who's your stuff? Who you think you're going with? Malachi Coleman is your sleeper. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's going to be Lanier because I really think he's going to get a lot of consistent play. So I think he's going to be an Elijah Spencer type guy for us this year. That's maybe a bit bold, but he's getting a lot of compliments, and it just feels like he's the guy that they talk about that's getting closer and closer each year. Where some guys that aren't here anymore, you've heard about when they first got here, and when they're asked about it, like, yeah, he's just got to work on this, and then they're gone, right? And with Lanier, you've heard the progression of him being really close, where basically they're saying he deserved more playing time, and that's why he played in the bowl last year. So, that's my sleeper pick of guy that's going to be a real contributor in this room. You went into new
Yeah.
case for guys that I think are going to leave. I actually think it might be Driver. And my only rationale is because I felt like his playing time kind of uh, decreased after he kind of made that route running error. I think it was against Maryland, but there was a game midseason that we won, and he kind of gave up on a corner route ball. Maybe it wasn't Maryland because that Brosmer was lights out, but it resulted in a pick, so it might not be Maryland. But anyway, and I felt like from that point on, he got sat pretty much the rest of the game. I don't think he ever came back in. And from then on, it just kind of teetered down his usage into the offense. So, um, I don't know how long the doghouse lasts for PJ, but I think that's a guy that has his fair share of work to put in with the competition that got brought in. Because I know he's kind of a guy that I think is a true slot guy, and a lot of these guys, even Lemecki, can play slot. So, um, you know, I just wouldn't be shocked if he's one that hits the portal. But like you said, I'm hoping they all stay. They all have their own unique gift that you can see it, right? Like you can see it when they're out there, what they do well. Driver being the shifty slot guy he's pretty athletic. We just gotta, get more consistent at one, passing, and two, getting him the ball. But yeah, that's how we see it, folks. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to drop a comment down below of who you think the surprise stud's going to be this year in that room. And some of you might be guessing this guy because Max, our third topic of the day, it's been all over. They're selling the split jersey now. Corey Parrish has been practicing on both sides of the football, and PJ said it's on him to be taking care of himself to get ready for that, and for him to be mentally ready for that, learning both sides of the ball. But they said he can handle it. Where last year it was more of a gadgety, this year he's a unicorn, and they want to use him as much as they are able to. So it sounds like this is a legit play for Coy being on the offensive side of the ball, as well as being one of your starting safeties. Does it get you fired up? Gopher fans are pumped. I'm not going to lie. The online response is overwhelming. I mean, they're selling a jersey of it split down the middle now because he was having to switch so much going back and forth between offense and defense. Is this a good idea? Just what's your feel on this?
Yeah. I mean, I would be excited if it works, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I think well I'll put it like this. So for number one, it's great marketing, whether it works out or not. PJ's doing a great job
Yeah.
with this. Like but at the same time, he doesn't do this. He does not show his cards. So on one
Yeah,
hand, I'm
that's
like,
true.
he's just flat out saying this kid's gonna play both sides of the ball. Like he doesn't tell you anything ever, and now he's doing this. Part of me thinks like, is it more marketing that he'll play both sides of the ball, but is he going to be Travis Hunter or is he going to be more gadgety than, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of where I
Yeah.
land. Like I don't know what to expect, I guess. But I do think it's a good idea if he really truly can provide something to the offense that the other receivers can't do. And that's either a huge testament to his skill at the wide receiver position or means we got problems in the wide receiver room. I don't know. It's hard to speculate there too. It feels like if there were really that many issues in the wide receiver room, we would try to get just another wide receiver and not like ask
Yeah.
your best defensive player to step in and play wide receiver. So I think it speaks more to Coy's talent than anything, but there's a lot of
Here,
ways you could look at it. So
here's mine. And I actually posted these thoughts. They didn't get a lot of likes. That's okay. It's not a popular take. First of all, you brought up the marketing standpoint. And with how much they're tucking this up, I think it's almost like, don't you think there's some pressure? Like, because if he comes out and it's like,
yeah,
oh, we just kind of use him for a player too, or it goes horribly, then it's like, what are you doing? Like, how
right.
is this getting this much? You're selling the jerseys with the split.
It,
Like, I feel like that adds more pressure. Not that Coy is somebody that's going to feel the pressure and back away from it. Not at all. Like, I have no doubt that Coy wants to do this, is willing to do anything, and is going to be pretty good at whatever they ask him to do. So I just want to say that. Here's where I stand, okay? The thing that Coy is your best, outside of maybe a couple guys on the defensive line, Coy is easily your best and most important defensive player, in my opinion. Outside of maybe Anthony Smith and Devin Eastern. I would say those are your three most important guys on the defensive side of the ball. And yes, we have three great safeties in Gooseby, Kerry Brown, and of course Coy. But they're only it's only super cool to have three great safeties when they're all out there at the same time, and we're replacing a lot of guys from that second and third level. We're losing Wally and Robinson at corner, uh, Cody Lindenberg, who was your best linebacker, and you're losing Jack Henderson. Those guys had a lot of tackles, made a lot of tackles, and the guy that I trust most to make those tackles that's coming back is Coy, right? So I want Coy in, the box up front, in or around the box on early or run heavy situations as much as possible, because I felt there was a lot of plays that he erased or stopped from being big plays last year. Like, he's not just an athletic freak coverage ball hawk. Like, he's an all around great football player. And there's a big difference between playing corner, which is what Travis Hunter did, and being able to go both ways, than playing safety and getting involved in the run game, which is what part of what makes Coy so great. Safeties take on a much bigger physical toll than a cornerback does. So for him to be playing, I mean, I want him out there every play on defense. I don't want to sacrifice anything with him on defense. Like, he should be up near the line on early downs and dropping into coverage to pick the ball off on passing downs. Like, I that's where I want him. So if you're telling me he's going to now slide over to a receiver and play significant or whatever, they didn't say receiver, but I mean, he's going to be taking Darius Taylor carries away from between the tackles. Probably not. Maybe they'll run a few tosses to him. Okay, like if it's a couple plays here and there, okay, fine. But to me, I just don't think the potential for him getting hit low, rolling an ankle as a ball carrier, or him trying to run a route that we just went through the list of names. He's probably not a better route runner than any of those guys at this point. He's very athletic, but is he going to be a better jump ball guy than your 6'5", 6'4" guy in Tyler Williams, or Malachi Coleman's a big body guy too? Is he going to out jump those guys or be a better jump ball guy than those? Is he going to be a faster guy than Donnell Hayes, Malachi Coleman, or I'm blanking on the guy that we're talking about from Miami of Ohio? Who's the transfer?
Javon
Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah.
Yes. Like, all those guys have their set things, and I mean, if Coy is better than all of them, so be it. But I just think there's a lot of pumping the brakes maybe that Gopher fans need to consider. It just doesn't get me excited. I don't know. Maybe I'm being crabby. I don't know. I am very cautious to this idea because he's such a weapon on defense and in the return game. Like I just don't know if it's needed, to be honest. I'm not saying he can't do
Well,
good things on offense. How much, but how much better is it than what you were going to get from guys that were already in that spot?
right. Yeah, I guess I do think it's unrealistic to assume he's going to be full time offense and defense. Like I
Yeah.
don't see it
That's
as
just
like
how it's getting
assuming.
hyped up by, I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
PJ. I mean, PJ's calling him a
Sure.
unicorn and that he's been practicing like fully on both sides. Like, obviously not one on ones because he's going to be on, but like he's
Sure.
enough where he's going with team one, like the first offense when they're going against second team defense, and vice versa. He's on first team defense when they're going against second team offense. So, I mean, sorry, so not
Right.
to cut you off, but it's
Yeah.
getting
No.
hyped up like that level of usage.
Right. No, and I get that, and I think that's where PJ's probably. I do wonder if part of it too is like it does give defenses something else to think about and scheme for and worry about.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just out there. He's just a pure decoy 80% of the time. I have no idea. But I do think, and I agree with you, like he does, if I'm on the staff, like he's a safety who can play wide receiver. Like he's not
Yeah.
both, right? Like
Right.
we
Right.
can't put him through that. But at the same time, I mean, I do think if he is that much of a weapon, I do think it's worth him being out there as much as he possibly can. Otherwise, I mean, why have him return punts? You know what I mean? Like, if we're really worried
Yeah.
about losing him on defense, like, and I agree, like, we can't push it. We can't, as long as it's not detrimental to his defense, I think that's how much he should play on offense, I guess is where I'm at.
Nah, I mean,
And if he can play
it's
every
fair.
down, then hell. But
Hey, and this is not a knock on Coy. I guess I got to see it on offense that he's work. I mean, I don't know. I just right now I can't picture him running sophisticated routes and getting open. Not that we're like a heavy,
right.
NFL passing team, but I mean the receivers are there full time, and all of a sudden we're talking about these guys battling for spots, and now we're like, Coy, run a slant. It's like, really? Like, I
Oh, and
don't
we
know.
got this safety.
Yeah, yeah. But and I know I'm not. Trust me, it's not my thoughts on this are not because I think Coy is a problem. Not going to be like a downgrade on offense. Don't get me wrong. I just think he's that good on defense, and that
Yeah,
the safety play is way different than a corner playing both ways.
right.
So, and
Yeah,
I know we
no,
get that.
that's a very fair point to make. Like he's a lightweight linebacker. Like
Yeah,
he's not avoiding any contact at all. Like
no.
so.
And hey,
But yeah,
I hope, and I put it in the post. I hope Coy makes these concerns sound just ridiculous, stupid. I hope he wins the Heisman. Um, but that's just how I feel. I'm not. I'm just. It does
yeah.
not get me excited at the moment. Maybe I'll see it and I'll go nuts. But
With all these targets, I feel like there's just more pressure on Lindsey now to make them all look good.
well,
Like
okay. So that's the thing, though. And now it's they're running some packages. It's spring ball, so nothing matters. But with three tight ends out there at a time, so and they do like the tight end room. We should cover the tight Bieber. I think they got maybe more than what they were hoping for. It, like in a good way with Bieber. It sounds like he's a little bit more capable of receiving than what they thought. Maybe I'm hyping up the one Instagram reel they posted of him making that one-handed catch over DB. I don't know, but I just think Bieber and Jameson Greer's are going to get a lot of playing time at the same time. So that's even less guys out there. But
right.
it is what it is. I'm sure he's not going to be playing, 75% of the offensive snaps or whatever. But it's just the way PJ's talking about it. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I hope it works out well because there is a little bit of a less important side with us selling the jersey and everything. Yeah, I talked about that pressure. You do look a little silly if you come out and he plays like a play a game on offense,
Yeah,
like you
they're
just
definitely
use him
going
for a
all
toss.
in
Yeah.
on it.
So
Like
like
it kind of
I'm
has
just
to work.
I'm warning Gopher fans now. If fan bases start dishing out to us because Coy, you know, got a carry for 2 yards and we're wearing the jerseys with both with both colors on, I'm just warning you. We kind of did it to ourselves a little bit there, so I'm just preparing you now. Just be ready for that.
If anything, I mean, it's a great example of how efficient we are at practice. I guess that we can't take two
There you
seconds to
go.
put on a penny or something like a
That's
helmet
right.
cap or I
That's
don't
right.
know. Yeah.
Well, that's all we got for
Oh,
this episode, folks. Oh, go ahead.
last thing I was gonna say about Kawhi playing wide
Yeah.
receiver. What would you rather? He play obviously full time safety, return punts, and
Yeah.
then just spot action at wide receiver, or full time defense, full time offense, no returning punts.
I know where you're going with it. Yeah. Well, who's going back there then?
You know,
Is it? Yeah.
it's our guy.
I can't remember his first name, but is it Michael? Is it Michael Redding?
Nope. I think it's Quinn,
Quinn. Yeah, Quinn Redding.
which I hope he's healthy. Did he like
Yeah.
break your arm or something?
Um. Yeah, he did. Which brought us Kawhi's return game. Yeah. Okay. I'll play with this sick world. Well, I will take. I'm going to take Kawhi because the first option is how it should be. It should be
Yeah.
all defense, all return games, and if he is a great receiver, yeah, give him a few reps at receiver. But yeah, nothing against Redding. He's a great backup returner. That's all. Like that's what we got there. Um, but yeah. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, guys. Again, we are with the College Huddle. Feel free to check them out, thecollegehuddle.com. We're your Gopher football podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to check us out on X, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. And feel free to comment what you want to see next time. We kind of focused offense today. Next week, we're thinking more defensively and got some win totals as well to go over. So appreciate you guys all tuning in. Really appreciate the support. TS says, keep it up. I appreciate that, TS. Thank you for tuning in today. And rambling on at this point. So we'll let you go. Thank you. Have a good night.